Hi everyone, and welcome to the Scorpio March 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So this reading specifically is meant to help you find the meaning in the challenge or challenges you are currently experiencing, so that you can better answer and understand the why are you being asked to go through this challenge and overcome it. What spirit would like you to unlock about your path and purpose, and how it can be of service to the greater collective experience. So Scorpio, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump right in here. We're going to start by pulling a card that is going to represent, or cards, that's going to represent what you're kind of entering the month of March as far as with your internal energy. So we have the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. Interesting. And we're going to pull a couple cards here for your external environment to see what's going on around you. And then we're going to see kind of what's the why in the challenges you're facing this month. What are you learning about yourself? Let's see here. What are my Scorpios dealing with externally? So just right off the bat, okay, so we have the Five of Cups in your external environment, and at the bottom of the deck, Seven of Cups. Okay, so this is the lesson we're learning. This is what Spirit is asking you to kind of embrace as we move through the month of March. So Scorpio, your internal energy, Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. This is a little bit of a conflicting energy, which is interesting. We have the Queen of Pentacles, which is someone who is very strong in understanding where they want to put their time and energy and what they are nurturing with that. Where the Five of Pentacles is the opposite. This is when we have the feeling of lack and that we feel like we don't have enough. And that ultimately, as well, as this pertains to our physical environment with Pentacles, there can be this feeling of, if I follow something, if I nurture something, I'm going to be left out in the cold. So I do feel that there's a little bit here for some of you Scorpios that you're kind of dealing with making a decision to, as you understand what you're worth, what your time and energy is worth, and you're starting to, I think, clarify for yourself where you want, what you want to nurture with that. That there is a little bit of this, I think, kind of dynamic going on within you of, but if I do that, I might be left out in the cold again. If I follow that, or if I put my energy towards here, I'm going to lose out over here. And that's directly, I think, I would say not support of, but I think that's kind of mirroring a little bit about what's going on in your external environment, which is this feeling of disappointment, perhaps, of regret, on an emotional level, of taking a look at what has not worked out in the past. And this is a card where a lot of times it's a card of showing that we are so focused on what didn't work out emotionally for us, that we are not aware of the two standing cups. So this individual is looking with regret at the three spilled cups and is not looking at the two cups behind them, which represents the two cups that shows the ability of you being able to connect with another and actually have a very fulfilling connection. But I'm getting this feeling between the two energies here that there's something in your external environment that is kind of causing you to have this internal doubt, that there's this feeling of almost not wanting to face a regret that is somehow looming in your external environment, whether this is regretting something that's actually happened, a change has happened. Maybe some of you guys have had to go through a difficult circumstance where you've moved locations, moved jobs, found a new romantic partner, something along those lines. And there's this little bit of I think, hesitancy to step fully into this kind of place of empowerment of, I know what my time and energy is worth. This is what I'm going to actually nurture. And instead of going ahead and like bringing that out and planting it in the external environment, there's this little bit of hesitancy as to, well, the last time I might have done that, it didn't work out. And why you're kind of going through this dynamic right now is to teach you that ultimately the Seven of Cups is a card that represents options options in what might emotionally fulfill us. So this would be like we maybe are looking to apply for a job out there, but maybe we know that we don't want it to be in the field we're in currently, but we almost don't know then, well, where do I want to apply? It's like, if I don't like what I'm doing now, what do I like doing? And I think that there's a lesson to be learned here in that when we start to change what and it starts from within. So let me see if I can explain this. When we start to change what we value and prioritize, especially in the physical. Now, even though this is internally, you are making a choice to value something new, to value something in your experience that is tangible, but you're making that choice internally to do that. But there is this fear around having to internally release a fear around kind of this poverty mindset. And when we actually decide that we're going to then plant this pentacle, which I look at as a seed, when we want to bring that and engage that out in our external environment, we can hold back. It's almost like if you have, a child that you are nurturing and you are loving this child and you've made a dedicated commitment to nurturing this child, but then all of a sudden you think about the child having to go out and engage with the world, that the child might get made fun of by another kid and get hurt, the child might fall down, the child might, all number of things, and you might pull yourself back and say, "Ooh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to bring my little innocent sweet child out into the world yet." And there's a little bit of that's kind of what's going on here. There's some aspect of your experience that you don't yet want to fully engage with your external environment because of something that's happened in the past. And what Spirit is trying to show you is that there are always going to be unlimited opportunities, unlimited possibilities. In a certain regard, the Seven of Cups can be one of an illusion, that emotional fulfillment lies without, instead of us understanding that we are the ones that decide what emotionally fulfills us, no matter what we do. But in this context, there's an understanding that yes, even though something might not have worked out in the past, there's always the opportunity. Something always remains from every experience we go through, every disappointing or kind of traumatic or sad emotional experience that we go through. We learn about how to connect with ourselves on a better level, and we learn how to connect with others on a more healthy and equal level. And that's really going to show you that ultimately, when you have the courage to bring out whatever you're currently kind of sitting with and wanting to nurture, when you bring that out into engagement now, you'll understand that yes, maybe what happened in the past could happen, but most likely not, because there are so many other opportunities. There's so many other unlimited, limitless ways for this pentacle to be nourished. When we think of cups and coins, there's an element of the cups hold the water that nourishes the pentacle. And there's so many ways for this pentacle to be nourished outside of what has spilled already. Okay. So Scorpio, I'm going to go ahead and pull now the cards that are going to give us more detail as to what's actually blocking you. What are the challenges that you're facing and actually kind of breaking through this poverty mindset and stepping fully into bringing this beautiful part of yourself out into the world. And Scorpio, you had some really powerful readings over the past couple months. I think all of you have been sitting with this kind of internal reflection of your own self-worth and personal value. And this is really that kind of culminating month of, okay, you got to kind of break that fear-based mindset. It's time to really show the world what that value and worth can create. Okay, so we have the Page of Wands in your initial challenge position. We have the Fool, Three of Pentacles, Five of Wands. And let's get a final card here. and the Nine of Wands. It's interesting. This card has been coming up quite a bit in these readings. I think everybody is feeling a little bit like the weary warrior here. We've come so far, especially for all of us who have, really been impacted by, I think, the pandemic. There's a little bit of like, man, so much has changed. All right, so right off the bat with Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is a card that really speaks to going out and utilizing your passion, but in a fresh, optimistic, curious way, similar to that with the energy of a child. When it comes up in a challenge position, this is when it's almost like a kid being given a toy on Christmas, but the kid kind of looks at the parents like, really? This is mine? The kid almost doesn't want to touch it, or doesn't want to get their hopes up that this amazing toy they just got is actually theirs, and that they can take it out of the box and play with it. And there's a little bit of that feeling here of like, I'm just getting this with looking at the image on the card. She's like looking at it, like almost mesmerized by her own power, her own passion. But there's a hesitancy of, but is this really mine to play with? Is this really mine to use? And I know what's happened in the past. I don't want to get my hopes up. And there's a feeling really that's coming through with that. Because right after that we have the Fool. And the Fool is the card of literally taking that leap, of a fresh start, of having faith in a divine purpose. Because you have the faith that as you take this leap off of the cliff to a new start, that the universe is going to support you. That's why you're feeling this urge to do so, because of the divine design, that this is an element of you meeting destiny with free will. And in the heart of your reading, you have the Three of Pentacles. And this is what Spirit's asking you to embrace, to help kind of overcome and work through this current challenge, this kind of challenge of, I don't know, I hope this is what I get to go out and play with, but I'm not sure. I don't want to do this fresh start because I don't know. I'm scared. There's a feeling here with the Five of Pentacles coming through of, again, being held back by the mindset of there's not enough, of what if I do this again and I get left out in the cold. And the beautiful thing with the Three of Pentacles, it reminds you that no, there's always those around you to help you build. The Three of Pentacles is a card of building with others. This is where you get to take this beautiful pentacle that you've been working on and you get to engage it in your external environment. But this time, instead of the 3 cups that are fallen, you realize that you have the 3 cups to share. You have the 2 cups and you can actually invite a 3rd cup in. And instead of the 3 cups that have fallen over, you now have 3 cups upright, and everybody's there to pour what is in their cup to help nurture additional seeds. So you can take your 1 seed and actually bring it out to grow something together with others who have a similar kind of plan for the future. If you see here, these people are all working off of the same either blueprint or map, and they're coming together to build it faster and stronger. And that's really what Spirit's asking you to embrace, is to understand that this time, now that you know your value and your self-worth, this time you'll know who to align yourself with. That's the beauty of going through an experience like this. The beauty of going through an experience where we do have a loss, or we go through a disappointing or an experience that we might regret for a certain period of time, is that we get to that place where we realize, oh, that's the lesson I was supposed to learn from that. I realized that I shouldn't align myself with people who make me feel like X, Y, and Z, or I shouldn't follow something that doesn't actually play to my passion or excite me. And as you move out of realizing, okay, I can nurture this, but with others who are nurturing similar, their own seeds and doing the same, that then you move out to the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is your final challenge point before really taking the seed out to be, I look at this with the 2 cups, to be nurtured by others. There's a feeling coming through very strongly here that it takes a village. And I think, Scorpio, you've been acting really independently for quite a while. Your last reading, that really came through strongly, that you guys are kind of on this individual soul-based journey. And now you're being asked to, at this point, step up into finding those that are on equal footing with you, to understanding the value of these deep equality-based relationships, and understanding actually the possibilities that unlocks. That there are so many, that yes, there have been a few disappointing experiences, but there is a unfathomable amount of other limitless opportunities to connect with people, to connect with social groups, to connect with those who you might share a similar cup to. And I think that's what we forget sometimes, is that we forget that not everybody is our ex. Not everybody is like the social group that we had a falling out with from high school. Not everybody is our parent that we've had issues with. There are literally, at this point in our experience that we know of, probably over 8 billion people on this planet. And when we think of a billion of anything, that is such a large, it's very hard. It's like trying to imagine what a trillion is. It's almost beyond our ability to understand that quantity. And even just 1 billion is beyond our ability to really grasp what that is like, what that looks like tangibly. And that's really what you're going through here, is to realize you're not penned in by the ghosts of the past, so to speak. Those were just some people or some opportunities that you kind of fell into. But there's a bazillion and one different opportunities out there that you can now, with a more educated and wise perspective, be able to navigate a little bit better. Because the Five of Wands and Nine of Wands, the Five of Wands is one that's a little bit of a card of chaos. This can be when there's kind of like too many cooks in the kitchen. It can also be a card of getting back out there and kind of testing your wand. And that's really what I'm feeling here, that there's this feeling of, okay, I want to go out and test out it's like almost like saying, like, okay, now that I know that this Christmas toy is mine, I want to go out and show it off to the neighbors, but I'm afraid that if I go out and show it off to the neighbors, with the Nine of Wands coming up, that they're going to break it, they're going to pull it apart, they're going to make fun of it, they're going to not allow me to play with it the way that I want to. And so there's this little bit of this kind of last push to say, be confident that yes, this new passion, this newfound kind of fire in your belly, so to speak, is yours. Yes, you have gone through an intense transformation period, but you've come out the phoenix. The beautiful quality of the sign of Scorpio is that you have so many different animals and symbols that are associated with your sign. And we have the scorpion, we have the eagle, we have the phoenix. And those are all incredible. They all hold within them their own power. But I have a feeling that a lot of you have gone from a place of really harnessing the energy of the Scorpio, and you are now going into the energy of the phoenix, of coming out, this kind of blazing firebird, where you don't have to be all sting and all tough exterior. You instead get a chance to show off your colors. You also get a chance to really utilize that power now that you are the firebird. You are someone who has walked through fire and come out a stronger and more beautiful and brilliant version of yourself. And it's time for you to be confident in that, confident in this new flame that's within you, and to get out there, to not be afraid to get out there, to start to utilize your inspiration, your passion, and to understand with the Nine of Wands, this is the weary a wounded warrior. This is where he's like, oh God, I've gone so far. I've done so much. I've waged all these battles. I just don't want it. I just don't want to. I'm done. I'm tired. And what Spirit's asking you to understand is that with the Page of Wands coming in, the Page of Wands brings an additional wand to the Nine of Wands and brings the 10 card cycle of the wands to a close, which is where the person realizes that they don't have to carry the burdens of others. They also don't have to carry the burdens of the actions that they've taken with them. You know, sometimes we go through periods in our life where we have to almost like hold up like a badge of honor all that we've gone through. And we do it in a way to almost protect ourselves, to show people, see, this is what I've gone through, like, don't test me. I'm going to hit you with my stick. And we get to a point where the whole beautiful element of the transformation of the phoenix is that the phoenix burns itself up. And when you think of fire, fire is going to burn all those wands. Fire destroys, but it also allows something new to be created and to rise from the ashes. And that's where I think this kind of last step of transformation is coming through. And you can release all of the things you've gone through. And you don't have to wear them anymore like a badge of honor. Instead, you can just let them burn away and realize the one that is still left behind is yours. And that's all you need. You don't need all the other wands behind you. He doesn't need those. He's still only going to fight everybody off with or protect what's his with his one wand. He doesn't need to keep standing there protecting what he thinks is his to protect, is what gives him value. The real value is within you, and I think you finally realize that now. It doesn't matter whether you live here, or if you're with this person or that person, or you work this job, or you're in this position. Your value lies within. And you always have your eternal flame that makes you separate from all others. This is truly your magic wand. And really what Spirit's saying is it's time to come back out. It's time to start building. It's time to show off where you want to put your time and energy. Allow others to come in. Realize that it's time to let the past be the past. And realize the unlimited opportunities that are out there for emotional connection, for camaraderie, for support, and to do things that feel enjoyable to you. To do things that are going to find ways to nurture this pentacle that you are growing within you. And it's time to release this feeling of, I might be left out in the cold if I do that. Okay, so now, Scorpio, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull 3 final cards here for the concept of curiosity, courage, and contemplation, where we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool that I use in my practice to help bring what is a very general reading down into an individualized one for you. Ooh, love it. So for what Spirit would like you to be curious about this month, we have the World, number 29, breaking down to Master number 11, which for me represents our ability to take currently what is our experience and elevate it through the portal, stepping through the portal of the number 11 to see what can be when we decide to have faith in Spirit, when we work with Spirit to elevate our experience. And I love this World card in this deck. This speaks to that there is, it's almost like saying, see the higher vision. There's a quality of sometimes we limit ourselves with where we think we can take something. And there's a little bit of that here too, where you're sitting with something and you think, okay, well, I have this idea for a business, but if I just, kind of start by speaking to my neighbors and seeing if anybody's interested on that level, and it's almost like, no, Spirit's asking you to see the much bigger picture right now of what this idea or what this little thing you're working on, where it can actually go. What could you actually build with this? These people are together with blueprints, building something much larger than just their individual pentacle. So there's something here about having a broader view of what you can create with your passion. And that you're going to find that there's going to be more opportunities out there than you actually expected. So this month, to be curious as you're moving through the month, and you're keeping in mind kind of what this pentacle is for you. What is this aspect of yourself that you want to put time and energy towards? Look at it from a broader perspective. Look at it if you actually did bring others in to help you with this. What would this look like? What could even be a much farther reaching vision? You know, this would be something like saying, you know, I really love animals. I've always loved animals, and I'm going to just, you know, start by going to my local rescue center and finding a pet to bring back and nurture. And it's like, well, but if yes, that's a great place to start, but it's almost like, okay, yes, you can do that. But if your passion truly is this feeling of I really want to help animals and work with animals, and maybe there's a much deeper, maybe you realize that's what I want to prioritize in my life. Now it's more about what else could you do with that? Maybe you join a group of other people who have also rescued animals, and you get to go out together. And maybe in that interaction and work in kind of interacting with other people who share a similar passion, you unlock that they too are so passionate that they want to take the animal shelter in your area that maybe isn't in the best circumstance and elevate it. So maybe all of a sudden you work together to create a fundraising project, and now you have your kind of hands in something that has a broader reach. And then you can continue to go from there. It's more than just the little first step. It's almost like understanding where do you want this first step to grow? If you could sit there and put a blueprint out for others to come to you to say, I want to buy into that, what would that be? What would you be selling them? What would you be creating with your magic wand? And allow that. So stay curious to that. Stay curious to where you might be limiting yourself of like, no, I can't go that far. Like that's way too out there. I'm just going to start here. And Spirit's saying, no, you know, the whole reason why you went through this transformation process was to understand now the power that you have. So if you do have that power, how do you want to use it? All right. So Scorpio, I'm going to go ahead now and pull a card for the concept of courage. And this is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take action for the month of March. So let's see. What does Scorpio needs to know about where to have courage? Oh, I love this card. So it says, surrender to receiving support and love. Allow the love and support of others in, rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. Love this. So when you're having the courage to take action, this is really lining up with this concept here of it's time for you to open yourself up to receiving love. We really can block ourselves off. And this came up a little bit in your love reading, Scorpio, for this month, or for February, in that when we hold back on giving love to others because we have been hurt in the past and we don't want to be, let's say, hurt again, and we think that, okay, well, we have to give love out in these little, you know, spurts to the people, and then we have to close ourselves back off again because we don't want somebody to possibly come back in. What we realize is that love is a channel of energy that has to remain open. And what does that mean? That means that we can't, when we block ourselves off from giving love because we're afraid of what might come back in, we block ourselves off from receiving love. And what ends up happening is that then we feel unsupported. We feel like we're left out in the cold. We feel like people don't get us because we don't allow that beautiful, supportive, connective energy of love to allow us to get close and vulnerable to other people. And so we don't have those equal, deep partnerships. So there's really this feeling coming through of it's time to kind of take off that block and allow yourself to give love freely, but allow it to come back with faith. With faith now that it's time. This is a fresh start, and that there are those who are going to support your vision, and that there's unlimited opportunities for what you can do with what you're wanting to work on now. And lean into that. When you start to feel afraid to take action, lean into this feeling of support and love and realize that it's all around you. You just have to be open to it. All right, Scorpio. So we have, for the final card here, so it can be what Spirit would like you to contemplate on. So a point of reflection, kind of like the underlying theme for this whole reading here for the month of March. We have Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. I love this because this really does speak to that feeling of a phoenix rising from the ashes, that everything is burned away. All that was is gone. Now I'm thinking of the theme song to Outlander, but yes, it kind of is like that. All that was is gone. And in that, you are released. There might have been soul patterns, contracts, past lives, depending on what you believe, that might have been imprints that were holding you back. But I feel more than just looking to past lives and things on kind of that esoteric level, that this really goes back more to your I'd say initial programming of all of the things that kind of hurt you as you were coming up to a certain age, where you felt like, okay, I'm held by these because I don't want to be hurt again, or I don't want to put myself out there like that because when I did, this happened. And you're being released from that. The beauty of life is that we can always grow. That's the hope, right? When people say people can't change, that is a term that drives me crazy, because the whole purpose of our life experience is that we are part of change. That is the only constant in our environment, is change. And I don't look at it just as change, I look at it as growth. That is the hope, right? That we continue to grow and elevate as a human being, and that the entire collective experience does the same. And that is change. Growth is change. So you are not the same infant you were born as. You are now the blossoming individual that you are. And same with your mental capacity and your emotional capacity. Those all get bigger and they grow and you start to see the multifaceted quality of all of these aspects of your existence. And there's something about this coming through strongly, is this reminder of you can always reinvent yourself. What you had been can be released. And you are free at any point on any given day to wake up and realize, I'm going to step forward as this new version of myself. I'm going to bring out what I want to nurture in my life because it's my life. And I am ready to connect with people who honor my uniqueness. I will continue to do the same with them. And I'm ready for those deep, soul-based, equal partnerships. And I don't need to be held back by the lessons of the past, with the exception that it's made me wiser. But I don't have to be tied to that ex. I don't have to be tied to that friend group that hurt me. I don't have to be tied to a difficult experience growing up in a family way. I can be who I want to be. And that's when we learn that we can transcend. It's through realizing that you are supported and loved by both those around you and the divine. You are a divine being who was brought into this experience to do something important. And it's up to you to meet that challenge, to figure out the importance of this pentacle. All right, Scorpio, I hope you all have a wonderfully empowering and illuminating March. If you would like to illuminate your own personal spiritual importance and to see how it can be of service to yourself and others, you can click on the link in the description box below to book a personal reading or a one-on-one coaching session. And I will be putting out the mid-monthlies around the 15th. But if I don't see you until April's illumination readings, have a wonderful March, Scorpios.